Hello there. Let us start with a new episode of Aspire Crisp Tutorials. Today's topic is event binding. Let me put things into perspective first. These are the various types of bindings. We have already seen string interpolation and property binding in previous videos. Today we are going to focus our attention on event binding. Now in event binding, you just need to remember these three things. One is syntax, another is what is not allowed, and a few practical examples. Syntax is fairly simple. Whatever is your event, you just encapsulate it in parentheses. And this notation is called as banana notation because it looks like a banana. So in banana notation, you have to give the event. Then give equal to sign, and on the RHS, that means right hand side, you can either write some statements in JavaScript or you can give a JavaScript function. So basically what should be allowed in the RHS? In the RHS you can write anything that is related to the component class. That means you can write, let us say, isEditable. Here isEditable is a data member in my component class. So I can write this in the template. Similarly, sayHello is probably my method in my component class. So I can use it over there. But what I cannot use is, let us say, console.log or alert, because these are JavaScript methods which are not defined in component class. And unless anything is defined in the component class, you cannot use it in event binding. Okay. Now similarly, events can be of various types. Like here I have written a click event. It's a mouse event, right? Then there can be keyboard events like key up, key down, or key press. Key up and key down are together called as key press event. Okay, so if you really want key press, then just write key press. Otherwise, if you want key up event, then key up, or key down event, then key down event. You can give more specific events like whenever space key is keyed up, then you do something. Okay, so there's a very specific event. I'm saying only for space key, when key up event happens, then you should do whatever is written in the RHS. Okay, now let's move our attention to what is $event and $this. Well, $event will pass to this function the event. Which event is that? It's a key up event. Okay, so that event will be passed to this validate function using $event. Similarly, you might be thinking that can I pass the object which got clicked or on which key up operation has been performed? No, you cannot pass the object directly. You can derive that object using event.target. You can try doing $this, but $this doesn't work. Instead of using $this, I would recommend you to use event.target. So you pass an event over here to validate, and inside validate function you just write event.target, and that will be the element on which key up event has happened. Okay, means whatever, if it is a text box, then that text box will come to you in event.target. Okay, now let's move to some practical examples. Where will you use event binding? So many people use it for very simple reasons, like let's say there is a text box in which you input the username, and then there is a button saying greet, and when you click that button, something happens, like let's say some alert comes saying hello and that username. That's a very simple example. Nobody really uses it in the real life, but I'm just giving you an example. Real life examples are something like this. Let us say there is a username text box, and in the username you do not allow spaces. Okay, so in that case, while the user is typing, I will allow him to type with space, but as soon as he gives the space, that text box should get a red border, and maybe some alert could pop up, or maybe there could be some error label which will come besides it saying that spaces are not allowed. And as soon as he removes that space, again it becomes normal, that error message also goes away. That could be one utility. Another utility could be that you just do not allow the user to type space. So within that username text box, if user types space, then the keyboard input is just not taken. All other keys are feeded, means all other keys input is taken, but space input is just not taken. Okay, so there is no question about highlighting it in red border or showing the user that this is the error. Just space itself is not allowed. That is a better approach in my opinion. So this is one example. Another good example in real life could be that you want a text box. Let us say you are showing a dashboard having a lot of charts, and every chart's heading could be a text box. Now let us say that your product owner says that the text box should grow and shrink depending upon how much input user puts into that. Now you might know that text box has a width property. How will you dynamically increase or decrease the width of that text box depending upon what is the input text that is fed into it? For that you need to use a keyup event, right? So as soon as something is keyed up, you will first figure out what is the what is the value of the text box now after that keyup, and then you will determine that how much space should it require. Now there are various ways of doing it. Some people calculate it depending upon pixels, but it's a bad approach because let us say my text is this, then it contains, let's say 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 eyes, so it will take lesser space. But if I have 8 Qs, then it will take more amount of space. Now here the font is I think font is Courier, and that is why it is taking the same amount of space. But in real life you will be using fonts like Verdana or other fonts, right? So they won't be having exactly the same size, and that is where your logic will fail over there. So it's always better to create a div with a label with the same font characteristics, okay, and fill it with that text, and then see how much is the width of that div and attach that width to that text box. So this can be done using event binding. So all these are practical utilities where you will be facing this kind of issues within your project. So this is your host Amit Shirasao, and let's get started. So guys, in this tutorial I'm not repeating the creation of the branch and rest of the things. I'll tell you what I did. Just like I did in topic 2, I also created a branch for topic 3. Again, I created it from the master branch. Okay, now I changed my branch to topic 3. After that, what I did is I gave this particular command ng generate component topic 3. So it created these 4 files for topic 3 within topic 3 folder, and it also added its reference to app module, as you can see over here. Over here it has added an import statement, and it has also declared it in the declarations array. Okay, after this what I did is I created a route for it. So I went to app routing module.ts, and just like index I created a route for topic 3. Okay, and it redirects it to topic 3 component. Another thing that I can do is default route should be changed to topic 3 route. Okay, and on index component HTML I'll be giving a router link over here, router link equal to topic 3. Okay, I'm saving it. In another terminal window I have already run ng serve open, so developer server is running over here, so it will take a while to compile. As soon as I make change to any of the files, automatically this compiler runs and the refreshed page is loaded over here. So once again page reloads. So now let us see whether everything is working or not. See, default route is, when I don't give anything, default route is topic 3 route. Yes, and when I click on the title it should go to index route, and when I click over here it should go to topic 3 again. Okay, that is not happening. Let me see, why is it not happening? Yeah, again it is not happening because I forgot the slash. So you will also come across this issue once in a while. I'll just press F12 and let you know. So when I press F12, it is giving me an exception that cannot match any routes for index topic 3. See, once again I'll clear this and I'll click over here. See, you see this particular thing. So why is it going to index/topic 3? Because I made a mistake here. Here in the router link, I did not write slash. So when I don't write slash, it takes the route as in continuation of whatever route it is. Means whatever is the current route, in continuation to that it will add topic 3. And is that what I want? No, I don't want it that way. I want topic 3 to be an individual route, right? I need to flush the existing routes, whatever it is, and I just want topic 3. I want something like this, right? And that is why I have to give this /. If I don't give this /, it will basically just take whatever is the current route and add topic 3 to it. Okay, so now let it reload once again. See, every time you make any single change in any file, this developer server will reload. Okay, so it has done its reloading. Now when I go over here, I do not see an exception and I get navigated properly. Okay, so now this is my topic 3 component TS and this is my HTML for it. Now let me arrange the windows first. I'm arranging the IDE on this side and my browser on this side. Okay. I was in middle of something. Let me remove everything. Yeah. Here I will also arrange these windows one below the other. So just drag the title and then just keep moving it until you see this kind of a alignment. Yes, isn't it better? Yeah. Now let me just create here an input type equal to text. Okay, so I should see a text box over here. I'll also remove the unnecessary things which I am never going to use in this example, and that is on init. I'm never going to use the constructor either, and even this ng on init. Now this is obsolete, so I'm removing it. Yes. Yes. So I've also gone to source and I found this particular file. So you can also do that. You can go to sources, and if none of the files is open like this, you can click Ctrl P. So I'm clicking Ctrl P and search for your file. So here topic.component, topic3.component.html is there, component.ts is there. So I want ts so that I can put some breakpoint over here like this, and it will get hit as and when means if I want to debug that application. So I'll keep it open over here. Now let's get started. Let us say my business logic is to see whether the username is correct or not. So that is quite simple. You will capture the keyup event over here, keyup, and on every keyup you will say validate. Okay, now that validate will be given event. Okay, now we have to write the validate function over here. You're writing validate function here, accept it in any variable, let's say event variable. So whatever event you have passed here, it will be accepted in event variable, and you're going to write here whether it is valid or not. So let us create a valid flag over here. Some people write is valid, some people write valid. Some people say that is keyword should not be used. Okay, so I'll still use this is keyword. So initial value of valid data member is true, but let's say after keyup I will first see whether it is valid or not, and then I'll change the value of is valid. Okay, so how will I do that? first of all, what is the input? So let input value be equal to event.target.value. Okay, I'll get the value over here. Now if input value is equal to Amit, then input value is equal to true, otherwise it is false. I'll just give you a simple example here. Okay, let's get started with simple example. So I'll go to again sources and I'll put a breakpoint over here so that you come to know what's going on. Okay, here I had already searched for that file. Why is it reloading multiple times? Because I must have done one change at that time. It started reloading. In between the reload itself I made another change. That's why it reloads once or twice. Yeah, so let me put a breakpoint over here. So this is a function. I can always put a breakpoint inside a function. So I put a breakpoint here. Now on keyup, let us say I am typing A. As soon as I typed A, and even before I could type the entire name Amit, the first keyup event took place, right? So it came into validate function. And here let us see what is the event.target.value. So what is event? Event is the event that happened. What kind of an event it was? It was a keyup event. Okay, so event.type will be keyup. Okay, then when I was typing, when I keyed up A, at that time was shift key pressed? Yes, it was. Then what is the key code for it? So which shift key was it? Was it the left shift key or the right shift key? So even that is given over here. Then that is why it is capital A, right? If you see over here, capital A got printed, right? Because I had typed shift key. That means I had held shift key while keying down A. Okay, was control key down at that time? No. Was shift key, means was the left shift key down? No, it wasn't. Was alt key down? No. Was meta key down, etc, etc. So you get the idea, right? Key code. So which key did I press? All these things, Then finally, means you get all the knowledge that you require about that particular keyup event. Okay, now inside that event there's one more thing, that is target. Target means on which element did this event take place. So it is this particular input. So if I just hover over this, you see that it gets highlighted over here. Okay, so event.target is my input tag. Okay, so this is how you get the element over here. Which element, on which element did this event happen? You get it like this. And then what was the value of that input text? You get it over here. After that event, what was the value? Okay, so you get it over here. Now just like dot value, you can access any other property of this target. So you can also accept properties like, okay, what is the width of it, what was the height of it, what is the max length, etc, etc. Okay, what is a pattern, what is a placeholder, all these things, whether it is read only, whether it is disabled, etc. What is the default value? Okay, so all these things you get over here. Even the tooltip means title. This is called as tooltip. Okay, now how are we going to use it? We are going to say that, if that input value is exactly equal to Amit, then you say that, it is a valid input. If it is not Amit, by that time it is invalid input. But how do I come to know what is the value of is input value? Sorry, what is the value? Oh my god, did I put it in input value? My bad. I meant to write here is valid. Is valid, and of course I have to write this dot is valid. Here also is valid. IntelliSense will automatically give that this. So this is what I wanted to do. But how will I come to know that what is the value of isValid. So I'll just write that value over here in string interpolation format. Okay, so let us see if it works. Let the page reload. Yes, so presently it is valid. Why? Because the default value is valid. And now when I type A, no, it is not valid. M, no, not valid. I, not valid. T, as soon as it becomes Amit, yeah, it is valid. Now I type something more, it is once again invalid. Okay, so this was a simple example of how we can do it. Now let's complicate this example. In real life, how is a username? Username should have either capital letters, small letters, or some numbers. It should not have any special characters. It should not have space. It should not have dash. It should not have dot, etc., etc. So let us say our username should only have capital letters, small letters, and numbers. Okay, so how can we do that? We cannot directly compare it with all the possible values that it can have. No, that won't be appropriate. So let me introduce you to regular expression. Let my regular expression be equal to new regexp, and here I have to give a pattern. So this regexp is basically a JavaScript function. As you can see over here, it is coming from this particular regexp constructor. If I right click on it and if I go to implementation, I'll be able to see that it is coming from node modules, TypeScript library, and what is the library name? It is es5.d.ts. okay, so basically it is it has no relation with Angular. This is what I really wanted to emphasize upon. This regexp is a JavaScript concept. It is not an Angular concept. So what we do over here is we give a pattern over here that let it contain capital letters, any capital letters from A to Z, then small letters from A to Z, and numbers from 0 to 9. And at least one thing should be there. Okay, it cannot be blank. Okay, that means it is plus. At least one instance or more than one instance should be there. Okay, so this becomes your pattern. And then you can also say that whatever string that you are comparing, now what will be the string that we will compare? Of course it is the input value string. So how will we compare it? We'll compare it something like this, regular expression dot test, and here we will give input value. Okay, now understand what is this test method. Test method basically says that returns a boolean value, means whether true or false, which indicates whether or not a pattern exists in the searched string. Now what is the searched string here? It is the input value, and pattern, this is the pattern. So whether this pattern exists in the input value, it will be searched. Okay, but now what is the pattern? That you should have alphabet in capital or small and number in any sequence, but at least one instance should be there. Okay, that is what plus indicates. But we should not have anything besides it. Okay, means even if it has some special characters, but it does have numbers and these all things, then it will still pass. But I don't even want that. I want it to have exactly these things. So it should start with these characters and it should also end with these characters. There should be nothing else in that particular string. Then and only then it passes. Okay, Once we are settled with that, this is our regular expression. We'll test it, and whatever is the true or false value it returns, I will return that value into this dot input, is valid. Okay, so is valid will be set to true or false depending upon whether this string evaluates to this pattern. Okay, and then we won't be needing this, so I'm removing it. Now let us see whether this works. Previously it is false because I've anyways given it as false. Here I'm writing something, it should have turned to true. Let me see what is happening. Control backtick to open the terminal. Let me just save any file and see whether it is compiling properly. Yes, it is compiling, and then the page is getting loaded. Yes, see, it is starting to work. So this is valid, this is valid, this is valid. Even a number could be valid, but when I give space, it's invalid. When I give any special character, it is invalid. When I give a dot, it's invalid. When I give underscore, it's invalid. Okay, so our regular expression is working fine. Now once we know whether it is valid or not, depending upon this flag, we can set some class to this particular text box, which will add a red border to it, or maybe we will show some label over here saying that it cannot contain special characters. Okay, so all these things can be done. So what I did just now is option number 1. Okay, that we allowed the user to type the username valid characters, but then we are highlighting him, we are warning him that this is an invalid user name. Now let us go to option number 2. Here we don't even want to allow the user to enter an invalid character. That means when he tries to press space over here, then that space should not even get printed. Okay, now we want to get to that state. So how can we do that? Now that is a little difficult because we have to go back to the previous state. Okay, how is it even possible? Let us say I have typed Amit, and now after that I am giving space. So as soon as I type space, it should once again get back to this state. Okay, so I need to save the previous value somewhere, right? And for that we need another variable. Let us call it previous valid value. Okay, and that previous valid value, initially the initial value is false, nothing, because initially there is nothing inside it. Okay, and the second thing is I think this is valid should be true by default, because if you don't give anything, if there is no username, then it should be valid. Okay, now here something got evaluated. Now if is valid is true, then what should it do? Quite naturally it should save the previous valid value as this dot input value. Okay, whatever is the input value, it should save it in the previous valid value. Okay, so it can be used the next time. And if it is invalid, then event.target.value should be set to this dot previous valid value. Okay, let us see whether this works. Sometimes it really doesn't load properly, so it's always better to open the terminal, see whether it has loaded properly, and yes, see, it is loading now. So it's always better to open this terminal once in a while to check whether everything is loaded properly. Now when I'm saying AMIT, this is all okay. As soon as I say space, it's invalid. But it did not revert back. Why did it not revert back? Because there's an exception that came over here. So let's go to console and find out what it is. What is that? Okay, let me check. I'll put a breakpoint over here and check what's happening. Okay. Now, is that valid? Yes, it is valid. Now, what is the previous value? It is Amit. Okay, go ahead. Now I'm giving space. Now, is that valid? No, it is not valid. And what is the previous value? So let me go here. Yes, it has gone into the else clause. Nothing seemed to have happened. I don't understand why. Wait a minute, once again I'll see. I should have a breakpoint over here inside this. Okay, now we will see. Once again I'll give another space. Nothing is happening. So if it is not valid, it should go into else, right? Something is wrong, so the page is not properly loaded, I will say. Once again, open the terminal, make a change to any file so that it reloads. See, it is recompiling. Once the compilation is successful, the page will reload. It happens a lot. It might happen with you as well. Most of the times you are not at fault. It's just some mistake with Chrome and this ID. Okay, now when I say Amit, it is all okay, but when I say space, I come into else part because it is invalid and the previous value is Amit, so this value should get replaced with the previous value. So let me do that. Yes, it got replaced. Okay, so I'll remove the debug point and let us test it now. See, Amit Shirasao is also okay. As soon as I say @ see, it appeared and it disappeared. Okay, and as soon as it disappeared, definitely this is valid flag once again became true. So this is how you implement it. So this is the second scenario that we saw, that don't allow the user to type wrong things. This is a very robust way of doing things. Okay, now let us look into auto size text box. Okay guys, now let's get to the complicated part, that is auto size text box. Now there is a complicated part. I don't want to mix it up in this branch, so I'll first commit this branch. Okay, so let me just go and commit this branch. I'll say topic 3 done. Okay, now I'll just push it. See, one commit is getting pushed onto the git. Okay, and then I'll create a new branch from topic 3 itself. Okay, let me create a new branch from topic 3. Let's call it as topic 3 again. Event binding, dynamically growing text box. Okay, I know the name is very verbose. I think I should pick a better name, but that is how it is, man. It's okay. And I'll derive it from the local topic 3 branch. Okay, so now let us go and build this. To save the time and length of our video, I've already coded for it. See, this is how your dynamically growing text box will look like. Okay, so it will basically be a input type equal to text. Here, style with px. Now what is this? This is also property binding, but people more generally call it as style binding, which we'll be seeing in this particular tutorial. So yes, we are using style binding. to bind width. Width is what? Width is a data member. Now let me create that data member. Yeah, so width is a data member of your component class. Okay, and its value, let us say it is 100, so that 100 will get set over here. That means style.width will be 100 pixel because I'm giving it in pixel. Okay, so by default when the page will load, it will have 100 pixel width. Okay, now it has 100 pixel width. How will you check that? Just check it like this, inspect it, and then see it is 100 pixel width. Also you can see over here style width is equal to 100 pixel. So this is how it's done. Okay, style width pixel in square bracket, and then you'll get then this width will get set as pixels. Then here we have used event binding, which is why I'm including it in event binding tutorial. So here the function that we are going to use is decide dynamic width, and this is that function. Okay, again it accepts the event, that is keyup event. Now in this we have accepted the value of this input box. Okay, we have accepted the value of the input box over here, and it is set into the inner HTML of what? The hidden div. Now what is that hidden div? I have not hidden it at the moment, but as you type over here, I'm basically just typing everything over here in a div. Okay, now what is that div? It is a normal div. I have just used a template reference variable to get an access of that div within this topic component class. So again, template reference variable we will see in detail in this particular tutorial. So you're 2 classes ahead of me just for looking into this example, but this is a very interesting example and that's why I want to share it with you. So template reference variable is accessed in this way. See here you write view child hidden label, and these are options. You don't give any options, that means it is normal thing. Okay, hidden label here, whatever you write, this is basically what template reference variable you have given over here. That means whatever is the variable name over here, let us say this is variable 1, and here also then you have to give exactly the same name, variable 1. Okay, but then here you can give anything, right? It will be as per your template nomenclature, but in TypeScript nomenclature everything has to be in camel casing, right? So that is why it has given us a freedom to give another variable name over here. Okay, so this name is very specific to your component class. Okay, this will be used in component class and this will be used in your template. Okay, so it has just given you a flexibility. If you want to call the same thing by a different name in the template and a different name in component class, then you can do that. Okay, so this is the main line that you should never forget. View child, whatever is the template reference variable's name, options null, normally people give null only, and this is the variable by which you want to access it within your component class, and it will be of type element ref. Now when I said element ref, I had to include that element ref over here. Okay, again when I said view child, I had to include it over here. All of them come from Angular core. Okay, so no reason to worry, it is coming from Angular core. You had anyways imported component from Angular core, same from the same library you are importing view child and element ref. Okay, clear till here? Now how do you use this? So this is just you just want a reference to whatever element you have in a template, right? So this dot hidden label, because this is just like a data member, right? Just like width, it is also a data member. So this dot hidden label dot native element. Native element means this actual div, whichever is that div on your page, that div. Okay, and then whatever are the properties of that div, you can directly access, like inner HTML is the property of that div, so you can access it directly over here. Okay, now what have we done? What we have done is on every keyup event, I'm going to call this function and pass the keyup event to it. Okay, this is that function. Now, in this function, what we have done is, we have taken the value of that text box, okay, and we have put it in the inner HTML of this hidden label or hidden div. Previously I had made a label, that is why I named it like that. It should be hidden div. Here also let us call it as hidden div, and hidden div. Okay, so what will happen is, whatever is the value of your text box, it will be set as the inner HTML of this particular div. Okay, means within the div text that will be put, and then we calculate what is the width of this particular div after setting that inner HTML, and that width is set to this width data member, and that width data member is getting applied anyways to the style width pixel of your input, and this is how this hidden div's width determines the width of this text box. Okay, once again, whatever you put in the text box, that value is put in this div, then the div's width will increase, right? Then that width is copied to this width variable, and so input type equal to text gets the width of the hidden div. Okay, now let us see that in action. When I write here Amit, see that Amit is getting printed in this div, and then this div's width is getting copied to the width of this input box. So this is the finest way of doing it. Okay, another thing to remember is, please hide this div, because it won't look nice that something is getting written and people don't know what it is. You know, people don't know about this hidden div, right? It is just your trick, so you need to hide it. We had anyways given the style over here. Just give a semicolon and give here visibility equal to hidden. Okay, so it won't be visible. Now let us see how our page looks. Let it refresh. Now here, if I write anything, see this div is also not showing, and I'm getting my work done also using that div. So this is how you work with dynamically growing text box. Now you might ask, what is this offset width? For this, I've already opened this page for you. I'll also give a link to this page in the video description. So you know, width of any HTML element can be of various ways. One is its CSS width, okay, another is the client width, then the scroll width and offset width. Same with the height, CSS height, client height, offset height and scroll height. Now what are these? Basically whatever is the matter, that width is called as CSS width. Now if you add padding to it, then it becomes your client width. If you add all the scroll possibility of scrolling, means how much can it scroll, like for example this text goes from here till here, plus add the padding to it, so that becomes the scroll width of that particular text. And then offset width means just client width plus border. Okay, so scroll width is regarding scroll. How will you remember? I'll tell you. See, CSS width means actual width that this guy is going to take. Okay, add padding to it, it becomes your client width. Add border to it, it becomes your offset width. Okay, remember it in this sequence: CSS width, client width, offset width. Scroll width, as the name suggests, it is the maximum width to which it can scroll. So scroll width does not consider the border, but it does consider the padding. Okay, so it has padding but not border. Okay, this is how you can remember it. So this was the overall concept of how you will make a dynamically growing text box. So this with this we come to the end of the tutorial. Do consider subscribing and sharing it with your friends if you find it useful. Thank you.